Hello and welcome to the official podcast brought to you by the National Cyber and AI Awards. This is the podcast where we dive into the latest innovations, challenges, success stories, and everything in the world of AI and cybersecurity. I'm your host, Ellie from Future Tech Events, and joining us today we have a fantastic guest from a company called Zally. Patrick, over to you and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Ellie. It's great to see you again. We met each other in person a couple of times over the last few years, and it's great to catch up with you now today as well.
Thank you. No, I know we've known each other for a little while, so I'm really pleased to get to interviewing you actually. I know I've got a lot of questions up my sleeve, but I guess kicking off with who you are, what you do, the company Zally, what your company does.
I wish I could say I'm an AI, I'm a robot, but sadly I'm not. Uh, I'm Patrick, founder and CEO of zally, a Manchester-based startup. Been around in Manchester for 2.5 years, set based in a digital security hub, which is the incubator for GCHQ in Manchester, approximately 2 years ago. Um, Prior to that, lived in London 7 years for my sins. And prior to that, I was born and raised in Norway, Oslo, and moved over to the UK then obviously 10 years ago.
That's amazing. I think we've spoken a little bit before, Patrick, on the origins of Zally and kind of the community aspect, I suppose, of starting that idea in London and then moving up north and the change in how people approach things in business. But what have you found to be your experience from the Manchester community? Because I know it's a real friendly bunch, but I hope you've had that same experience.
Absolutely. I think they're right with Northerners being more friendly. I don't know if that's because they have more time on their hand or they are used to helping each other out or what's the case. But what I've seen, especially it is a great place to set up a business in the Northwest. And and specifically for us, it's like Manchester was a great place because of the cybersecurity and AI aspects of things. Because when we set out on this journey, we were focusing more on the cybersecurity field, and that's the reason why we are in the digital innovation hub here in Manchester. Um, but I think it's easy to say that people are willing to help you along the way, and of course, when you set up a business, one of the things that you absolutely need is a lot of help. Um, and also think about I came from London without knowing anyone. So moving up here after spending 7 years with all my friends and um, in the south, it was a brand new beginning. So the help that I actually needed was introductions and support, and I think I got that here in Manchester.
That's great. And I guess Dish is supportive of that in itself. I guess meeting the right connections is nice when you've got other businesses that are probably starting from the ground up as well in their inception. So I guess you meet a lot of connections through Dish.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been fortunate enough to be a part of a few accelerator programs. So we share the space with Plexel, and Plexel is an innovator hub which facilitates accelerator programs for the likes of Barclays and DCIT. And we've been on first we moved in here. We were on the Dish Accelerator, which was like an early stage startup with companies that didn't even have a name on their company, wasn't even registered to becoming later stage a part of Scale Up and Cyber Bridge, and now the latest one where we were part of Cyber Runway Ignite, which is funded by DCIT.
Amazing. Well, life before Zally, Patrick. That's
Yeah.
what I'd like to get into a little bit because quite often you speak to founders and you think these companies have just started, an amazing idea has popped out of nowhere. When actually, I'm sure that a lot of hard work, a lot of thinking, a lot of failure, and probably a lot of success along the way. But I mean, it takes a lot to start a company. So, what were you up to before Zally, and how did you get to the point of starting the company?
No, I think first and foremost, I think if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But
Yeah,
and I
very
also
good.
would like to say that you learn more from your mistakes than you do from
Yeah.
your successes. And it has been a long journey for me because I set out when I was 10 years old, not just setting up one business, but two businesses. One
Yeah.
was a full stack development business. The other one was a DJ booking business.
Okay.
And I was picked up professionally as a DJ when I was 13. And then when I was 16, I set up an agency together with a friend. We grew that to 40 full-time DJs, 1,000 DJ jobs the first year, and then exited from that when I was 18. And the journey goes on and on and on, and building some great successes, but also some big failures where I learned, I think, most from early days. And when you are able um, to test things out, you're not as afraid of taking risks.
Yeah.
I think as I would have think about now when I have established family and so on. So um, and it's good to get that out of the way really early on, and then moving to London, I saw a big gap in the market. There was no one that was connecting brands with influencers, set up a digital marketing agency, grew that to 50 people, and exited from that after 2.5 years. And then during COVID, I was helping a lot of my customers with digital transformation from going from offline to online because of the situation with COVID.
Yeah.
And I could see there were like there was a lot of struggle caused by password friction and account creation that ended up dropping customers off from the checkout process. But it was sadly first then when my mom passed away with cancer and left my dad with dementia, not being able to manage his affairs online in a proper way, that I thought there must be a better way to actually authenticate users than using passwords or MFA or 2FA or one-time passcodes and all the things that we know and that we use on a daily basis. So I set out on a journey to see, are we able to authenticate users and prove somebody's who they say they are? And if we are able to prove who they say they are we able to use that to continuously authenticate them based on how we interact with our smart devices? So that was the whole beginning of Zally. And then we approached Innovate UK. They recommended us to move closer to the cybersecurity community. And as we all know, the all great people are based in Manchester. So they recommended us to move up here. And yeah, so that's how the whole story started with Sally, and of course we've grown massively since then, and also pivoted a lot of times since the beginning, but we've been core to what we trying to solve since the very beginning.
And I think that's something I've learned about you recently, Patrick, was that you started in the kind of cyber world, which very heavily crosses over, obviously, into artificial intelligence. But you've slightly pivoted as a business. And what's the reason for that? And is this just through natural business development that you've learned it sits more in the AI space, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so we were always using machine learning to train our models and then using AI to make decisions based on that. But we wanted to build AI that understands, predicts, and adapts to humans and look at the human computer interactions. Um, and when we were building some of these models, we identified some of the behavioral data that we were capturing could be used in the same way that you train an LLM and to create a large behavioral model. So it's a novel technology. Everything is built in Manchester, but that has been identified in the process of building an authentication solution that enables consumers to continuously authenticate. So we started as a B2B and a B2C, ended up being a B2B, and now we are a pure B2B player in the AI field.
That's really interesting. And I suppose, how long has that development been going for, Patrick?
So we started full development in June 23. So under 2 years. Um, but it's been like we had to build when you're building a novel technology that we're doing here at Sally, we had to test a few things out because like in high 80s accuracy is not high enough to authenticate a user, so it needed uh, um, uh, uh, to be spent enough time to make sure that we have a strong enough solution. And that's when we started to move into the whole AI side of things, when we had a better understanding, okay, this can be used sector agnostic, not just for continuous authentication.
Brilliant. And I've seen that you've recently recruited Sarah, who is your Chief AI Officer. So that's an exciting take on for Zally, I'm sure. But the wider team, how large are you now? Because I know you've grown quite a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, we have, and we have changed the team structure throughout the last year to adapt to our new proposition, um, and actually finding the people that was needed to execute accordingly. But Sarah is our latest contribution to that team. She's fantastic, but the team is currently 13 people full time. Then we working with three that is external in terms of machine learning, and then we having two on the software engineering side that support us. That comes from security background that are specializes in that. So we have also now started to work with third parties just because we needed to move faster with what we were doing.
Yeah, of course. Well, that must be a really nice reflection point as a founder to see that you have a team and it's growing and you're taking on really specialist expert people, which is always nice to hear about.
It is very exciting, but also very scary. So that has never been a challenge for me to find people that are smarter and better than myself, but actually to work on a daily basis with people that challenge you.
Yeah.
Um, is super powerful. And I wish if we started this journey all over again, I wanted to find the 10 best people in the world to solve this problem because it's such a massive challenge. Um, as we all know I think I read a number the other day that 93% of all communication is nonverbal. Why are we only looking to large language models? Why are we not using behavior as a part of predicting an outcome? And that's what I find fascinating, and that's the reason why we are moving into this space.
I love that. I think that's a huge part of interaction as humans, anyway, isn't it? Our natural kind of body language and the way that we interact, that's not, like you say, not verbal. So I'm excited to see what's to come for Zally in that space. But I guess that moves us nicely onto something I can spot just above your head, Patrick, which is a certificate, because you were actually a finalist in last year's National Cyber Awards. And I just wanted to explore that a little bit and kind of where the nomination came from, why, what that meant to you to be a finalist, because I know that accolades in this industry can be really powerful in growing business and moving things along. So what was that kind of meant? What did it mean to you?
Yeah, of course. To being a finalist amongst peers that specializes in what we do um, was extremely rewarding for us. And especially because you can win a lot of awards on an individual basis, but win that as a or being a finalist for something uh, um, for the team is extremely powerful, and it's how you can utilize that to set the team culture, and especially when there's a focus on what technology is actually being built.
Yeah.
Um, I would say there is a lot of awards that you can pay to get the awards, and I think in your case that wasn't the case. It's about delivering a solution that should be rewarded, um, and for us it meant a lot, but also afterwards we have connected with a lot of the players in the room, a lot of people on our table at the event we are still in connection with, but also that the winner in the category is a friend of the business. We've been on podcasts together in the past as well, so it's great to see things coming. I hope in the future that we will take home the prize, so we're going to reapply for
Yeah.
this year's award as well.
Absolutely, you definitely should. I mean, like you say, it's such a small industry as well. When you get chatting to people and you realize, X may know Y, and everybody's kind of connected in that way. So it's nice to have friends in the sector and great competition as well. I mean, in that category alone. So you should absolutely reapply this year.
But I
Um,
think I think it's important that we understand how small the community is, and actually we need to help putting the UK on the map.
Absolutely.
And the only way to do that is through collaboration and building communities that allows that to happen, and actually support each other. Because by the end of the day, no matter who wins these awards, uh, as long as somebody's winning in the game or putting the UK on the map is a great thing.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the National Cyber Awards comes in. It is a
Mm,
national awards. And,
mm,
there might be companies that are global companies, but operating really great services and products in the UK. And that
mm,
spans from, the largest companies that you may have heard from all the way
mm.
through to startups, people that are, developing innovation all the time. And I think our rewards really help with showcasing that and saying, hey, we're doing really great stuff here and let's talk about it and get excited. So I think that's a really valuable point. Um, but I guess as a startup owner, Patrick, I'm sure you faced a lot of hurdles and you've already touched on earlier in the episode about, sometimes that mistakes is where your learning comes from. But is there anything that you can share with the audience that you think, that mistake's really made me grow, or that's really helped us move forward and understand things a bit more?
I think people is what has moved us forward, finding the right people, taking care of the right people, building a culture. Uh, we're proud to have some of the first people that we hired is with us, and we did the right thing from the beginning. It's good to see as a founder. So we haven't pivoted as much as that. Like, I don't want to be here. That was not the mission that I agreed to set out on. So is people is always a challenge in multiple ways, but that's been also the best part of the business, being challenged on a daily basis. I think a lot of people will say being a startup that needs funds to exist, will say that is a challenge to raise funds in the UK. I I'm not a huge supporter of that statement. I think it is challenging, but I think if you have a strong team, a great proposition, and a great pitch, you can find money because money exists. You just need to be doing the right thing. Um, One of the things that I truly found out really early in this journey is that a no moves you closer to the yes. Um, and I celebrate all the no's because the no's is what makes you closer to that final yes that you actually need. So the other part that I would say that I regret not doing earlier is investing more in the actual team and upskilling them.
Yeah.
I think throughout my career, that's one of the things that you want to replace instead of upskilling, and I think that is something that we learned along the way. That is better to work with the people that we have, and because they're with us on this journey. So really build a strong elite team, and that's what we're doing as well. Because we are ambitious and we are bold with everything we do, but we're not trying to build the biggest company in terms of headcounts. We're trying to build the best elite team that we can find and becoming a unicorn as a result of it.
I think that's really a really great point because a lot of companies you do get caught up naturally in that growth aspect of it. But like you say, if you have a team of experts that can execute the business plan as per your instruction, I think, sometimes that's more powerful. And that talent and retention piece is so important um, with sourcing the right teams. You invest in your team, they'll, give that back to you tenfold. So I really like that ethos of having a great culture. And we get to see a lot of that through your marketing, which I know I'm just going to give the marketing team a little shout out, but I think they execute that so brilliantly, whether that's on TikTok or LinkedIn. And, through this powerful branding that you have with the bright pink that we can see in your background, what's kind of led you to this kind of brand awareness approach that you have that's so strong and stands out in the tech space naturally, because not a lot of people go down that route.
No, so not number one, my background is marketing, and always been building brands.
Yeah.
So that is something that I love and I'm really passionate about. Uh, but the good thing about if you can build a strong brand without spending a fortune, um, you can compete with some of the bigger players. The
Yeah.
interesting thing in the field of cyber or AI in this case is that a lot of them need to build trust, and the way to build trust is that they selecting brand colors that are either black or white or blue.
Interesting.
As we all know, some of the largest banks are blue for that reason because they want to have consumer trust. But I think you can challenge that by standing out. Um, so that's the reason why we also have picked a name that is uh, uh, last on any list. So when you go through the whole list, you will see Sally at the end. So it was either starting with something on A, but then you're competing a lot with the
Yeah,
larger players. Don't need to mention any names, but we all know that some of the largest company in the world starts with the letter A. And then so owning that Z and owning the pink and be fully pink. So we are currently going through like a small rebrand, not in terms of logo or the pink, but cleaning up some of the collateral that we have and refining our proposition visually. Um, and we have a lot of fun with it. So it's is something that we pay attention to. Then we also have a brilliant team to execute and come up with ideas. I think one of the things that I learned really early in my career is that we'd rather try it. So why not?
absolutely.
Instead of saying no, let's not even try it. And I think we tried so many things, so we understand what works and what doesn't for us. And I think like we were in stealth mode for a long period of time, and a lot of people, especially in Manchester, knew us as Zally. They couldn't say what we were doing because we hadn't told anyone, but they knew about Zally or they knew about me. And that is a great way to position you. So you build an audience before you even have launched. And that has been extremely helpful, like extremely powerful for us. And then, of course, we then been able to come on some larger corporations' radar as a result of it. So it's just about being different and not like to paint the wall costs the same as painting this in blue or in pink. Uh, though this color here is slightly more expensive because if you're using a black light, it will light up. But the we just made a decision that it can be cost effective to stand out instead of trying to stand out amongst the blues.
Yeah, and I think, it's easy to blend in and to kind of do something that's safe, but that standout sparks curiosity, doesn't it, amongst an audience and makes you think, I might not know what they do, but I want to know more, and who are they and why are they doing that? So I love
Yeah.
that ethos, definitely. And I guess my next question for you is what's next for Zally?
So quite interesting. We are one of 8 companies that are going to San Francisco.
Okay.
We just partnered up with Wilson Sonsini to do a large race, a Series A, early next year in the US. So that's next for us. We going out to deploy. We are just finalizing our prototypes to start pilots, and we are currently doing some design partnerships. Um, um, that on safe turf, like with identity and continuous authentication, which we known from the past. But now we're going into being more sector agnostic and supporting. So that's next, and then we're trying to recruit, finding the best people to join us, not like crazy. Because as I said earlier, we're not going to build the biggest team. We want the best people that wants to do cool shit. And honestly, we are building something that is novel and as crazy as our brand color. So yeah, we are excited about where we're going. And yeah, I wake up earlier and earlier every morning now, if that was even possible, and start my days before 4 a.m. Because I'm so excited about what we're doing, and that says something about 2 years in development, and I'm more excited than ever before.
Patrick, I'm even excited hearing all about that. That's amazing progress, and I just
Yeah.
feel like what's next for you is absolutely astronomical, and I can't wait to hear all about it. But I guess thank you for sharing your insights with us, and I'm sure the audience is going to very much enjoy listening to this. I always like to end with one question that is, I guess, the cybersecurity industry is all about staying one step ahead of threats, but if you could have one superpower to help you in your role at Zally, what would it be and why?
Oh, it is a very, very difficult question. I think before we started recording, I said to you I wanted to make sure that I could rob banks and
Yeah.
and get away with it. Just, I don't need to do fundraising all the time. But I actually love fundraising. So, but I like. Um, you know what? One of my superpowers that I really want to do, so I'm passionate about becoming a better leader every single day, and I think if I was, I think I'm born a natural leader, so that comes without saying. But I want to make sure that people around me feel appreciated for the work that they are doing, that they want to work for us, and that they want to grow with the company, and that they're part of the journey. So I just want to make sure that my superpower is to attract the best talent in the world. That would be my superpower if that was possible.
I really love that. I think a lot of people could learn lessons from that, Patrick, and should definitely take note because your team are your most powerful asset, aren't they? You can't do it all as a one man band, but you could give it a good shot, I'm sure.
I think one of the things that I've seen lately is that what is the role of a CEO, and that is
Yeah.
to enable the team to deliver on the mission, and that's my main focus.
There's absolutely a difference, isn't there, between that leadership but also management. You can lead a team and inspire a team, and then you have management that you don't have to take on the day to day, but your management can, and you can work on that kind of aspirational. Where's that business going? So I think yeah, you're onto big things at Zally, but that's, I suppose, coming to the end of our chat today, which I've really enjoyed. And thank you so much for sparing your time to chat with me.
No, Ali, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with a little Sally up in the north of England.
Absolutely. And if you've enjoyed this chat, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our socials. Patrick, it's been a pleasure as ever. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.